am so excited. We have a great guest with us today, Loren Lahav, and I am going to read her bio. Loren she lives a very big life. We could spend the entire podcast just talking about all the things that she's done and is currently involved in. So I'm just going to give you a small glimpse of who this amazing woman is. Loren is a speaker, author, and coach with over 30 years of experience in personal development. In 1990, she was hired by the Tony Robbins Company, where she worked in the production department organizing events for up to 20,000 people. Then in 2001, Tony and his wife, Sage, hired Loren to launch their signature Life Mastery program in Fiji. She has taught over 200 plus programs over the past 18 years in Fiji, Portugal, Spain, Puerto Rico, and the US. Today, she coaches clients ranging from stay-at-home moms to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. She is obsessed with helping people create real change, and she loves being in the trenches. Her clients love working with her because she really practices what she preaches. Loren found out about network marketing in 1989, but had the I'm too cool syndrome going, and you are really fitting that part today, Loren.
That's right, with my sunglasses, the whole thing. I'm too cool.
She refused to listen for 17 years, and with 3 small children, she had lots of legitimate reasons to say no to this business. But then she realized that if she kept making her kids the excuse rather than the reason, she would never know for sure. Once she made the decision, she was all in and grew her business while raising 3 kids, writing her second book, and traveling 165 days a year. Her team grew to the top position faster than anyone had at the time in the history of the company. And of all of her accomplishments, Loren is most proud of being a mom to her amazing kids. You are an amazing person, Loren, and we are so
and I'm playing the I'm
happy.
too cool. I'm playing the I'm too cool with my sunglasses because I don't have any makeup on.
You know what? When you're cool, you're cool. You just got to be who you are.
That's right. Stay true. That's right.
So we kind of talked about your career that you were in, but maybe give us a little bit more background about what you were doing when network marketing found you, the time that you really kind of decided that you were ready to listen. Give us a little bit of background about that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for enjoying me. I'm wearing my flip-flops right here, so I'm having a good time. I'm here, and it's very, very, very ironic that I'm here doing this interview. I didn't even think about it until just now. We were on the call. So I have been in the world of personal development, as you know, with Tony Robbins, and I love personal development, but it's theory until you put it into action. And it was October 2007. My daughter was 3 months old, and I loved what I did. I loved teaching programs. I loved everything about it. But all the money that I was making from those events, money went to pay for the babysitter that was back home with my other 2 boys, or it was with, paying for the nanny that was with me. And I had more months at the end of the money, as we all know. That happens sometimes. And I was 41, and I was like, I'm too smart to be so freaking stupid. And Tony had come out with the new product, and I was like, and I asked a couple of questions, and my friend Jeff Roberti, I don't know if Jeff Roberti, I knew Jeff about many, many years before. He was attending that program, and he came up to me and he's like, Loren, at least check this out. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is no way I'm going to go do that. And he goes, at least come to our conference and tell me no afterwards. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get him off of my back, and yet he had the life that he definitely had the life that I wanted, and to be able to say yes to the things that I wanted to say yes to. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, when is your conference? And he goes, it's in 2 days. And I'd already been gone for a month. And I was like, okay, I'm going. And the reason why I say it's so ironic is I'm actually here in Sarasota and was over at Jeff's house last night. And it's crazy. I didn't even think about that. And like I said, until we got on. And so I thought I knew everything. I had so many people that approached me with different network marketing companies, but Jeff understood what I was looking for. Jeff knew that he's like, Loren, he goes, you've got a heart, you've got a great work ethic. And so he framed it in a way that made sense to me. And he knew what my values were. He knew what was important to me. He knew what my pain points were, and he really listened. And he understood the power of relationships. Now, I'd known Jeff many years before, and he had, and he always says long-term relationships equal long-term results. And he was just patiently persistent with me. He never pushed me, and he just met me where I was at when he knew it was the time. And we were just talking about it last night. I mean, he saw my daughter, as a baby. And just last night, he just said, wow, what a beautiful woman you've grown up to be. So that's how I got started. And that's where I am today. So.
Wow. What a cool coincidence that you are.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's very neat. So would you say that you had an opinion about network marketing that might have maybe a misconception about it that you had?
Absolutely. And I had references of it. So what happened was in 1989, I was working 4 jobs in Southern California, and somebody came and sold a product to me. And I said, where can I tell my friends to go get this product? And even though my friend knew I was working 4 jobs, and they said, oh, just send them to me, and meaning them. And so for years, I sent them to them. And then later I found out I could have been making money as a business from it. And I was so hurt that my friend never told me about the business, that I was like, why did you do that? Like what? And so I had that was one misconception. Second thing was just that I didn't understand, so that really it was just being a raving fan customer, and like as if you were to recommend something, products to other people. And I just think finding it's kind of like I talk about schools. You got to find the right school for your kid versus just the right school, if you would. There is no right school. So I think you have to find the right company, once again, that resonates with your values, with your, your mission, your purpose. And I didn't understand that. I kind of put everybody all together, all companies out there. But once I found a company that resonated with me, I was like, okay, I'm all in. That's why I was all in. I was all in because it met all my values. And so that's what really got me to turn. And I would see so many people in network marketing, and some people would do it. It's just anything, right? We say how you do anything is how you do everything. I saw people that were, doing more contribution work with it, and that inspired me. I saw people that weren't. For me, I needed to see that I could do more for my kids. I needed to understand that, it was the longevity of it. I needed to understand that I was going to have the support for me. I knew I was going to be in business for myself, but not by myself. And I think I had misconceptions about that I just had to do it, or that I was going to have to create systems. I didn't want to create more systems. I wanted to be able to just plug into a system. So, yeah.
Yeah. What a valuable lesson and takeaway that is for everybody, Loren. I mean, what a lesson about how your friend, didn't tell you about the business side, but you were referring people. And as a result, it created some resentment there because
Right.
you weren't aware. And I think sometimes we're afraid to talk about the business side, but we don't know what somebody else is thinking and what they're going through. And
my upline says something really important. Her name's Cheryl, and she said, Loren, there's only 2 kinds of people who need money and people who want more of it. And not from a way of, some people just might need shelter. Some people might need food. I was reading many years ago, I went to an event, it was called Baby Bounty, and they shared the statistics that 1 out of every 3 single mom with children under the age of 3 have to choose between diapers or groceries.
Wow.
And for me, that's when I was like, this is not an opportunity to share. This is a responsibility to share. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, like so many times we're like, oh my God, what are they going to think or whatever. Versus like, you never know what's going on in someone's life, right? You have no idea. So.
Right. And I love that you talked about how it's so important to find the right thing that fits you, that connects with you, and to do that research. And that's okay to do. And just because you might have had one experience doesn't mean that they're all like that.
That's
so I
correct.
love that you talk about that. So if you had to say what appealed to you most when it was the right time for you, and when you said, yes, I'll go to that conference, what was it that really got you? That was what appealed to you most and said, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready to do this.
Oh God, there were a couple things actually. One was I went to the conference, and I went there not for me. I went there because of a friend of mine. I thought if it could help my friend that I was in, specifically, sorry, my earbud fell out. Specifically, there were a couple things. One, can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
we can.
A couple things were, I saw how everybody there was really wanted everybody to succeed. There wasn't kind of like, well, I've arrived and I'm sitting back and not doing anything. People were active in the business. Another thing was I loved that the company was contribution based. So that was a big thing for me. But when I felt like I was in that movie, Bruce Almighty, show me a sign, and the signs were everywhere, right? Like I saw the support, like all of the things, like, and then I was like looking for a way out. If you ever, I'm sure if someone's ever been there, like, I'm going to find something that I'm going to say it's going to be a way out. And so I remember somebody was giving a presentation, and the lady goes, I was like, well, I've got 3 kids. I'm working full time. I was thinking in my head, and this lady goes, well, I've got 12 kids, you know, and they're on, and I'm like, oh, great. That excuse is gone. I'm like, well, I'm working on my 2nd book. And I'm like, this lady gets up there and she goes, well, I'm working on my, 10th book. And I'm like, darn it, that excuse is gone. And then I heard somebody else say, I'm trying to think of what else. There was some, about how many, I'm like, I travel 165 plus days on the road. And this person's like, I'm on the road 200 days. I'm like, oh, no excuses of why I can't do this. And then there were 2 things. One was Cheryl was like, I just want to let you know that, I'm going to help you become as independent, but you're not going to be on your own. You're going to be in business for yourself, like I said, but not by yourself. So I'm going to help you, show you, and I'm going to keep it really simple. When she said, keep it really simple, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. And I realized I wanted to like keep it really simple. The second thing was I was flying back from the conference, and I was still like I was probably 99.7% in. Does that make sense? Even though I had already got started. But I needed that 0.3% to really put me like all in. And I was on the plane. There's this guy, and his name's Kenny Bayless. And I didn't know him. I hadn't met him. And he stood up and he goes, hey, you were just at that conference, weren't you? And I said, yes, sir, I was. And he puts his hand out and he goes, welcome to the family. And I was like, wow, that was amazing that somebody, and Kenny's if you've ever, he's the referee for all the major fights, all the major boxing matches. And I was like, what just cool thing that someone took the time to go that extra mile just to ask me how I enjoyed it and to welcome to the family. So that was the thing. I think it's that extra 10% that we always talk about.
That's
cool.
great.
I love that. So shifting direction, now that we've talked about the wonderful things, what's the most frustrating thing to you about this business?
Most frustrating, I think that it's that you want it more for people sometimes than they want it for themselves. I'm sure you hear that all of the time, that that people, it's kind of, again, like personal development, where people that they're fired up, like they love the program, they go to an event, and we always say it's what you do after the event is more important than what you do at the event. So I'd say just wanting it more for people than they really want it for themselves. That people try to complicate it, I think, is another big thing. And just going back to the basics, and yes, doing the basics over and over again. I mean, I could tell my upline story in and out, and sticking to the basics. And, Tony Robbins talks about something, and I think it's really important, is that it's lots of times we try to go to the strategy first. What do I need to do? Instead of starting like with, we call it state, story, strategy. So if people would just focus on their state, like, how am I coming in this? Like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be great. I'm going to figure out how to make this work. I'm going to help lots of people. So your state, then the story, and then how do I do it? So yeah, I'd say just wanting it more for other people, and then people trying to complicate it too much. So
I completely agree with that. Oh my gosh. How do you get over that? How do you get over wanting it more for other people than they want it for themselves? It's a scary thing if you have it at all, a codependent personality, I gotta say.
Yeah, I think, I don't think there's anything, actually, I don't think there's any, I think it shows that we're empathetic and compassionate, you know, with regards to it. But I think the only thing that we can do is just keep leading by example. I have a busy life, yes, but I also want to show people that I'm leading from the front, right? So showing that you can do it's kind of cool that I'm doing this from the floor in my hotel room, because I made the decision at the last minute to bring my daughter with me. And I'm so glad we did. And we just went to the aquarium and, you know, hung out with my husband. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it in a way. You just have to kind of keep the light on for people, because you never know when something's going to change in someone's life. I mean, I would say some of the people have done the best with our company and just as part of our team are people that it took some time. I think also that people we got to be careful to be too attached to the person and versus, you know, who they can lead you to. You just never know. I mean, another person here is a friend of mine who's, you know, somebody else introduced them to the business and then they became the top position on, you know, within my team. And you know, you just never know within our company. Yeah. So you just never know who's going to be that person. You never know who you can help. So I don't know. There, you know.
It's true. Yeah, I love what you're saying too. It's about who can you help.
Yep.
What are
But you got to help the people. You got to help the people with their hands up. You know, that's another story I tell. I would tell a story over and over again. About 30 years ago, I met a lady named Louie Fatty, and Louie was in a plane crash, and there were 12 people on the plane, and only 3 of the people could swim. And she said, Loren, there were people with their hands up, and there were people that were drowning. And she said, who do you think I help? And I said, well, I hope you help the people with their hands up. And she said, you would have hoped so. But I went towards the drowning people. And she goes, and what happens when you help a drowning person? They pull you down with them. And sometimes I think that there's a lady named Chris in our company, and she goes, remember, you're building a business. You're not building an orphanage. So she goes, sometimes we go try to help the drowning people. You got to go for the people with their hands up. And so the people that are putting you in front of people say, who do you work with? Put the people that put you in front of people, the people that ask questions, but don't ask the same questions over and over again. The people that realize you're a resource, you know, don't look up line, don't look down line, look in the mirror. And so I think that that's a really important thing to remember as well. So.
Yeah, you are so wise. So what are the common misconceptions that you run into?
The common misconceptions that I run into.
Yeah. So what do you
hear? I hear that you have to buy a bunch of product, and I know I know for sure with our company you don't. Yeah. With regards to that, so just be a product of the product and just, you know, create more. So you have to buy a bunch of product. Obviously, we hear the things that I hear is that it's a pyramid scheme, and obviously, I ask some questions after. I go, well, what does that mean? And so those are probably the 2 most common things that I hear. I think it's the same thing. I think is that we all try to make everything so, like I said from the beginning, we try to make our challenges unique. They're not so unique. It's the same thing. You just have to model the responses that you can give and help people ask questions. I mean, like I said, like I definitely had the I'm too cool syndrome. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything about everything. And so you have to educate people. Even my husband, you know, when I met him, we were dating and we were coming back from a trip, and he goes, oh, your people. And I go, well, my people. And I got all defensive. I think that, you know, that we got to cut off that defense mechanism and just start asking questions to people, because they just don't know what they don't know. And we have to give people the benefit of a doubt too.
Yes. Being curious and asking questions is so important so that we can understand where somebody's really coming from, because our experiences shape us and we don't know someone else's experience. Yep. We haven't walked in their shoes. So I completely agree with that. So talk to me about, you know, you've been around long enough to know and to see that not everyone who says I'm in stays in. And what do you see as the reason that somebody does not succeed in the business?
Because they try to recreate the wheel. They don't follow the system. They aren't patient. You know, there's two examples I like to use, and it's very important for me to edify where I learn things from. So I love what Larry Thompson talks about. He talks about, you know, the 80, the 15, the 5%. You know, 80% of the people, they're just going to love the product. They're going to be on the product. You want them, that they're important. They're most of our business, right? But it's also like a gym membership. 80% of the people, they buy, 100 people join a gym. 80% of the people, they drive by the gym, they pay their dues, but they're still important to keep the gym alive, right? 15% of the people, they're going to go to the gym a couple times a month or a couple times a week. Those people are important. And then there's the 5%ers. They're going to go to the gym every day, you know, every day. And but that's why the gym has to pay for those 5%ers, right? But guess who keeps the gym in business? We know it, even like this is obvious right now. The ones that keep the gym in business are those 80%ers. So that's why I said you got to love them wherever they're at. You asked me, what was the question that you asked me? I totally forgot what you asked me.
No, why people are not successful, why they don't succeed.
And I think there's a couple things. And once again, Les Brown talks about it. Tony Robbins, everybody talks. You got to be hungry. You know, you've got to see like what you have to have. I think you need to have a short-term vision. You need to really vision. I think you guys might know, I'm obsessed with manifestation boards. I've done them since I was 12 years old. I'm 54 now. But it's who do I need to become, you know, that's for me, because manifestation means vision plus Goya, which is you got to get off your ass and go do something. You know, you got to get out there and go do something. It's not just going to come to you. And that's how you're going to create what you want to create. So I think you know, the good book says it, right? Without vision, people perish. So you have to hold a vision. That's what, if there's any book that if there's a book that if you haven't read it, you must go read it. I think it's the most important book, especially right now in the world. And that is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. You've got to give meaning to why you're doing this, why this is so important to you. I mean, for me, you know, you could call it your why, you could call it whatever it is, but when I thought about doing this and I really gave it a strong yes, I go, I'm going to do this because I'm going to help thousands and millions of people around the world. I mean, if I always say, you know, my friend Jeff, I was like, he really wants me to be more successful than him. He even said it last night. He goes, Loren, if you really gave this the attention that you did, can you imagine what you could create? And so, and honestly, I mean, sometimes there's a part of me that feels a little guilty even being part of this podcast, because I know I haven't given it my very best, you know, and I'm just being honest about that. Like if I really gave it my very best, but I knew I held a vision of what was possible and it was bigger than me. And to see like friends of mine doing so well in Poland and Italy and Australia and New Zealand and the United States and Canada and Israel, you know, look around the world and just go, I created that vision, and you got to create that vision. But then I knew I had to do the work, and it has not been fun all the time. There have been people that I thought they were going to stay in the business and rock and roll. And, you know, then they something took them off. You know, you don't know what's going to take people off. That's why you always have to be sharing. You just never know who's going to be that next person that you can help. So, but it's been frustrating too. I mean, I don't want people to think it's all, you know, daisies. It's, you know, but just fun, because it's kind of like you get so curious about every person. And, you know, one of my eldest sons in the business, he met his fiance through the business. My daughter, she's 13. She watches me like ask people their name, ask them their story. And she's starting, you know, she's modeling those things. My middle boy, you know, he knows what this has been able to provide for him. I think that it's given them courage to be entrepreneurs. I mean, my daughter started like a freaking soap company and then a slime company, and now it's an earring company. So it's our responsibility. I always say that we need to be the heroes that our kids seek in the world. That's what I believe. And so I discipline you and I'm sure you've heard this before, it's just lines from other people. You got to discipline your disappointments. Some people are going to do a little, some people are going to do a lot, and you just never know. So I don't take it personally anymore.
Yeah, yeah, being really connected with the work, the actions that you do and the purpose of why you're doing it, not connected to the results, because you can't control
Right.
the results. You can only control your actions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And and you almost said something interesting,
reaction.
and your reaction,
Yeah.
because I think that that's a really big thing. Like I did something once that I thought just recently that I thought would inspire somebody. I did something that most people get excited about, and the reaction was totally different. And I'm like, okay, like why is this person reacting that way? And it's because they're frustrated. I get that. I get the reason why that they acted that way, with regards to it. So you have to really remember, doing, why you're doing what you're doing. I was telling my daughter why doing my I am statements every morning is so important to me, because for me, that's my rocket fuel, and nobody can take that away from me unless I give it to them. So if someone's reaction is different and I'm like offended or this and that, I'm like, wait a minute, like I just gave it away. I got to remember who I am. So I think especially in our industry, in our profession, that we have to remember we're freaking the best. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, and I'm sure you guys too, how many people said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that extra bit of money is that I like was so like not even appreciating, right? Like now why it's so important to me. And I think that, you said it, but another way of saying it is, trade your expectations for appreciation.
Yes.
I mean, you don't know, this isn't a work from home. This is a work from anywhere business, anytime, and any age, any gender, any background. Who, what professions can say that? Well,
Right.
I don't know any other professions that care any shape, size, color, background, language.
Yeah.
That's who we are. I mean, what an amazing gift, truly.
Yeah. So how's your life been different? How has this added to your life and
Oh my
changed your
God.
life and your kids' life?
Oh my God. Like, now I'm gonna cry, right? Because I just think I just wonderful thing in the world. I can't even imagine, when and I love the seminar world, but what if, I mean, now the whole world is shifted. I mean, I got paid per event. If I didn't work an event, I didn't get paid
Yeah.
at all, right? And so now I get to do events because I want to do events, not because I have to do events, which is but guess what? There's no events,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's a couple virtual events, but the event I was supposed to do this year in Europe was canceled. How's my life different? My life's different because I finally get to really make a difference the way that I wanted to make a difference, where it wasn't so much about me, being the person, like with regards to it, but helping other, I always love what Schwarzkopf would say. It's like leaders lead people. And I love to pass the mic, as my friend Lisa Grossman says, it's your job is to get up there as quickly as possible and pass the mic to somebody else. My life's different. Wow. Because, when my husband and I met was during the reset, right after we met 2011, and we had both been through some, divorces, and we were like definitely more month at the end of the money, both of us, and we were doing well. Both of us did well with our careers, but we, this has been able to do a lot of things, been able to invest the way that we wanted to, be able to send my kid to college and pay cash for it, be able to send my son to Iceland and Greenland, and my daughter to send her to camps and do those things that she wants to do. And also, biggest thing for me is tithing and giving back, and really being able to give back the way that I've always given back, but more in that way. And yeah, just but most importantly is being able to, or this, my daughter decided, the day before I was coming here to see my husband, and I looked at Asher and I said, do you want to come? And she goes, yeah, I'd like to come. And I was like, okay. And I said, yes, right? Eric Worre always says, say yes, tell the world, figure it out. And so she said, yes. I looked up tickets. It was $935 for, just a coach ticket. But to be able to say yes, it feels good. What if I had to say no? Say, ask her, after I'd already said yes to her. So that's a gift. Being able to go see my mom 5 times in 2 months when she was sick last year, and being able to do all of those things that I think that we take for granted is pretty amazing. So.
I love those answers, Loren. I love your heart.
Thank you.
So what advice would you give to someone that is taking a look at network marketing, trying to figure out if this might be for real for them?
I would say ask some great questions, get the answers, right? Don't be arrogant. You never know who you can help. You never know who you can serve. You never, we know that, be smart. Multiple streams of income is just a smart thing to do. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was like, you know what? So I've made, $1,000 a month for the past 10 years. Right. And he said, think about what that is and what can be done and what I'm able to do with that. He's literally just put it in an account, never looked at it, still done it. So I'd say, think about who you can help, think about who you can serve, and just don't be, get yourself out of the way too. And for everybody that's looking, just give it either, as my friend Jeff just texted me as we're talking, as he would say, give it a strong yes or a strong no, but no wishy-washy, dilly-dally stuff in the middle. And I think lots of people just give it a dilly-dally. I'll do it if I have time, versus, make sure just to give it a time. Even just be consistent, like anything. You're going to get results if you're just going to get results. And, that's it. Just dream. And just be smart. That, what is it? The average millionaire has 7 multiple streams of income. 7. I'd have you look at, like, what are the different ways for you to bring in income, and be smart. That's it. I'm like thinking, gosh, I still need more multiple streams of income, right? What are the different ways that you, right? You think about it. You think about, like, some people just have one stream of income, and then what happens? That income disappears. For me, I have lots of things to do, and it's just a smart decision. It really is. And the other thing that makes me think of my husband, he goes, you're so lucky. He goes, you get to go to work every day and do something that you love. We do every day in this business. If we're helping other people in this profession, we really get to help people. We get to help people say yes to something. Whatever the products are, but we do it because we help to get people to, we love what we do, and we get people to say yes to their health, to their, relationships, to more free time. Now look, working from home is cool, right? It's a cool thing. Now we're cool. So, anyway, that's what I'd say. There's my dog, who because, yes, he's also on the road.
Okay, well, we are on our final question, and we'll let you get back to your fun life and your fun time in Florida. So it's a tough one, but what do you think is the most important factor or trait that contributes to someone being successful in this business?
Successful trait that I would say. Just one?
You can have as many as you want.
One? Oh gosh, okay.
No, you can go.
Be patiently persistent. Be patiently persistent. I would say for sure be patiently persistent. It's kind of like the bamboo tree, right? The first year it grows about an inch. Second year it grows about an inch. Third year it grows an inch. Fourth year you're thinking, I think I'm going to get myself a ficus. And then and then the fourth year grows about an inch, and then the fourth year it can grow 30 to 100 feet. I think that's very important for people to remember. You've got to be patiently persistent. I think the consistency, whether it's 15 minutes a day or 2 hours a day, you've got to be consistent. You've got to be your best distributor in the business, and you got to be coachable. So that's, and get yourself out of the way. Think about who can you help and who can you serve. I've said that many times, but yeah, and have fun. Don't make it so serious. right? Make it fun for yourself. Make it that you want to get up every morning and think about who am I going to help today? Who am I going to serve today? So that's what I would say.
Yay! I love it. I love all the Lorenisms and all. I don't know how you remember so well all of these things that everybody has said, but I love it. You are obviously you exemplify personal development in a person.
Well, that's really the goal, and I think that's what we need to remember too about, like I said, once again, is what you do after that's more important than what you do at the event with regards to that. And so don't just take all the info. I think that we can get obsessed with like thinking like, I got to learn this, I got to learn this, I got to learn this before I take action. And there's a story that there was a lady, she made a big impact on me at the very first conference that I went to, and she was one of the top. The company I work with, is nutrition, and this lady, I asked her, I said, why are you one of the top people with regards to customers? And she said, well, this lady had a condition that she did, and she would see her at church every week. She would see her at church for years, every week. And then one week she was at church and she noticed that the lady was in a wheelchair that week. And my friend went up to her and she said, how are you doing with your condition? She goes, well, obviously you can see I'm not doing so well. And she goes, well, I thought that I would tell you about this, what I've been taking. And the lady goes, you've seen me in here for years, knowing that I had the same condition that you did. And not once did you mention it to me. And she said, the lady gave her a credit card and ordered it right away. And the next week, my friend went back to church and she said, the lady, who has the same condition as me. And she said, yeah. She goes, well, I saw that, the product that she ordered, it arrived for her, yesterday. And she goes, she died yesterday. Oh, and she said, from that moment on, I knew that no matter if I was nervous, no matter if I, didn't feel like talking to somebody, no matter, whatever that it was, I had to share this with people. So I think sometimes when I say like the most important thing again is getting ourselves out of the way, you just never know. You never know who's going to be that person that you can help with their life. I don't know, whatever I know there's so many amazing products and yeah, so that's what I would say. So I hope that that's helpful.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for spending time with us and just the words of wisdom that you shared with everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Loren.
Enjoyed it. Bye, guys. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.